Oh, the race has actually started. Oh, I thought they were still doing the parade lap. I beg your pardon.
That's a race 2 thing.
Got you. So the leader at the moment is...
yeah.
That's already been and gone. So this is going horribly wrong. But never mind. Let's pick this up. So Patrick Heinrich leads the way in the 3 Tiger liveried Ferraris. Second at the... Oh, Milo's actually at the back in the Ford. Terrible qualifying session for him then. Second at the moment, Jürgen Frank. Third, Lucas Dolzer. Fourth then is Benjamin Hackinson. Fifth, Dustin Hickman. Sixth, Christoph Weitz. Seventh, Lawrence de Rijk. As they are just coming through the chicanes 9 is heading down to turn 11. Someone's in the pit already.
Yeah, Christoph Weitz seems to have come into the pits. I wonder if he's had some kind of problem on the start, maybe a jump start or something. But yeah, that's very unusual, especially because you do not need to pit in this race. And
we've lost Lewis Bibby. Manually disconnected from session, so we already lost somebody. So then, who else have we got? Gunnar Ninhaus, who wasn't with us last week. He currently sits with us in 7th position, with Curtis Hardy directly behind. So Knut Martinsen is in 9th position with his teammate Evan right behind him then as they come round turn 4. Jason Dyer, 11th place. Oh, we have a spinner. That is Stephen Chambers. Stevie Chambers.
Gone round, yeah.
Oh, what terrible luck then. He couldn't take part last week due to steering wheel problems. He's got those sorted out, and now his car is doing what his steering wheel was doing last time around. There is Christoph Weitz then, right at the back of the field, and by a long way. So yeah, I would think that was a drive-through penalty that he received. And Stevie then now down to 17th place. We have 18 runners with us today. Oh, 19, beg your pardon. There's John Roberts, who again is having a fairly disastrous run so far. And there's the pace car. And back up to the front then as Patrick and Jürgen sprint away at the front of the field.
Well, we saw that before in last week's race, and it seems to be happening again with Patrick doing the early business here. With
with Lucas also up there in 3rd position. A fairly tight pack then as they are coming around to complete the 2nd racing lap. Lawrence de Rijk leads about a 5-car train there of... no, not the pace car in there. Unfortunately, I haven't managed to sort out the overlay. Hello, Star Classic. Good to see you, sir. Good to see you in the stream. So, Gunnar still sits in 7th position with Curtis Hardy. Oops. Getting a little bit out of shape there through 3 and 3A, or the chicane of 3. Still really tightly packed in there with Knut and Evan right behind as well. And that is your top 10 at the moment.
Yeah, Gunnar really pressuring Lawrence de Rijk ahead of him. Gunnar, one of the faster guys in the Formula 1 League that people would know from, and he's now putting pressure on his countryman. Lawrence actually turning on the inside there. Can Gunnar get a switchback? It's probably unlikely at this corner. Run it out wide. It's quite a difficult overtaking position there of some of the defenders. You can't really get the switchback into the heavens. It's such a odd shaped corner. Yeah,
I mean, it's quite an unusual track, this. I once described this as a go-kart track in the middle of a bowl in the desert. It is a very strange track, this one, but it's not the first time I've commentated here. The GT3 Season 5, I think it was, finale for Project Cars was here. So I've raced here a few times myself, as we see Gunnar and his quarry. Milo's in the pits as well, in the Ford. Has he retired already?
Yeah, Milo was in the pits. I saw someone else in the pits. So I think it might have been John Roberts. I think he was in the pits as well. So we've had 3 people in the pits, and 1 person back out, and 1 person didn't even make the start. So there's already like 5 people essentially out of racing contention at this point. Yeah.
Oh no, John is on circuit at the moment. He's just coming around turn 11. So yeah, he's having a terrible time. But yeah, we've just lost Milo. Milo's disconnected. Oh, Eric Mickey as well is a name that we didn't see whilst going through them. Now, Ronnie Gibbons, so while I was going through the names, I didn't see him at all. He's in 16th place. Is he lapped out?
Nope, he's still running around in 16th. He's on the lead lap.
He's on the lead lap, yeah.
But he's now being pressured by the man, Steve Chambers, that already had a spin.
So one of the few Fords being occupied by Ronnie Ronnie wasn't with us last week, was he? Or was he?
He was, yeah.
Yes, he was. Yeah, beg your pardon. Yes, beg your pardon. He was indeed. As we see Adam Hedgecock being challenged by, not Dennis Andlauer, That's Patrick Punka. That's a name that I don't recognise, so not a name from last week, so welcome to you. And hello there, Omar Sol. I hope I pronounced that correctly. That's one that... Yeah, I know, realise that's slightly too late after I said it. Never mind. Aerosol. Yeah, I'm going to be told off for that one later. So, Patrick then. Just coming around the final turn, still under pressure by Adam. And as you can see in the background, there's Ronnie under pressure by Stevie Chambers. Coming around to complete that lap as well. Let's head back up the field. Let's head up, see where our leaders are doing. And Patrick really is doing his best. Oh, Go Vankini. Oh, hello there, chap. Haven't seen you in a while. Hope you're well, sir. Hope you're well. So the top three again is the tiger-coloured, tiger-liveried Ferraris. As you mentioned, Phil, we saw that last week. Patrick leads Jürgen, leads Lucas. Lucas really falling away from the top two. Benjamin Hackerson breaks up the tiger-coloured domination at the moment with Dustin Hickman directly behind him. There's a decent chain there as Lawrence de Rijk in that mixture as well in sixth position. Gunnar has now gotten past Curtis for seventh place and that is Knut Martinsson, who's broken away from Everin just a little bit, and that is 9th and 10th place.
I think Gunnar may have already been ahead of Curtis there, but actually I just saw recently that Curtis, Gunnar goes wide there at the hairpin, the second last corner. I saw Curtis challenging Gunnar earlier. He was Gunnar had to defend into turn 6, and so now they are. So Gunnar's fallen a little bit out of the back of Lawrence. I think he may have made a mistake through one of the corners, had a bit of a slide. Curtis now really are hassling the back of Gunnar.
Indeed, so cockpit cam from Curtis just shows you how close that has remained to be as we are on, where are we? What lap are we on? I've completely lost track. 6. So yeah, again, he's nailed to the back of Gunnar. As you say, Gunnar is a very experienced hand. I just realised, looking at the display in the Ferrari, apparently he's in reverse, is Curtis. That's impressive.
And everyone that you spectate is always in reverse.
Nice. And a rear shot actually from Curtis shows the pressure from Knut Martinsson for that 9th place. So as well as Curtis trying to attack Gunnar ahead, he has got to keep an eye on that Ferrari behind. So defending and attacking in equal measure is no easy feat, particularly with the talent around him.
It certainly isn't. And it's always tricky through these corners, especially when you've got to really keep concentration to keep the car just on track. You're looking behind, you're looking in front, you can be looking everywhere. You're looking everywhere apart from the track, and it can be a little bit easy just to run it off slightly, and you go off slightly here, and it's quite difficult to get it all back on track again. Especially with such a twisty track such as this. It looks like Gunnar is beginning to reel in. No, there's not reeling the pace car in. I keep doing that. Oh, has someone just gone off somewhere? No, strange sound there. So Gunnar is beginning to reel Lawrence in a bit as this trio now becomes a quartet again, and just behind this lot is Evan Imre. So Evan is definitely falling away from his teammate at the moment. Is slipstream a major thing here? Well, I've noticed actually in these cars is the slipstream does actually affect them some further back than it does in something like the Formula 1, but it's not a huge effect, and especially around a track like this, you expect it to be barely affecting them at all. There's just no real straights here at all. So, I mean, if anything, the slipstream could be a bit of a disadvantage when trying to follow someone through the corners. That's exactly when you need the downforce, although a lot of these corners are fairly slow. So, again, you're not getting a lot of downforce effect anyway. So yeah, it's only really the end of the lap where you got the S's bit, and then the fast right-hander towards the end, where it probably could affect you. But if you can keep close through there, I think that's probably a good place to overtake, is right into the final corner still, or at least to set them up and put them offline in that corner, and then have a fighting chance going through the run down to turn 1. Obviously turn 1 and 2 not really overtaking zones, but if you've got your car there, then the other guy will probably have to just give you that little bit of room, which could be enough to make you. I mean, as you say, it's a tricky track, so really overtaking comes from people's mistakes ahead, and then you putting yourself in a position to pass them.
Yeah, so it's capitalising on people's mistakes through that particular section more than it is sort of trying to force an overtake. So jumping back up to the front then as Patrick Heinrich continues to lead, but I would say that Jürgen has closed him in again. So the battle for the lead continues, and there you see in the background Lucas Dolzer in that third place, and he doesn't seem to be gaining a great deal on the two ahead. But Benjamin Hackerson still has that fourth position, but he really has broken away now from Dustin Hickman. So Dustin falling away in sixth position. There is that block of four. Lawrence now really under pressure by Gunnar for that sixth position. Then would Gunnar be starting to challenge the Tigers up front if he manages to break through Lawrence?
At this stage, with the amount of time left, I suspect probably not this racer. It's hard to say. I mean, Gunnar obviously isn't showing the outright pace that he has in something like the Formula right now, as I said earlier. So it'll be tricky. But he may get his chance here, though.
Yeah.
Right, a mistake. He's gonna.
Oh!
Yeah, they're gonna go. So that's gonna be a little bit of contact, a little bit of rubbing. Rubbing is racing in these kind of cars. That's always good. And so Gunnar's got that position. Can he now go on the charge? Really big error there.
Yeah.
And he's going to go. He's hit the wall slightly, but he's only slight. So he's going to get back on track. But he's going to get passed by Evan and Jason. Dyer's not quite going to get him, but that's that's not good. It's not great for Lawrence, but that's good news for those behind.
I mean, Lawrence had a massive lockup. Oh dear, he's off again. He's having terrible luck. He was doing pretty well. Now he's suddenly all out of kilter. Looks like he's going to potentially lose that position to Jason. We'll jump on board with him. That's from Jason's point of view. Has a think about it into turn 6, but he's going to be pretty damn brave to do that in downhill off camber 180 degree left hander. It's doable, but you need a lot of faith in the person you're passing. But I mean, that's suddenly just completely fallen apart then for Lawrence. So he locked up into the final turn and then locked up again, flying off the road at turn 2. Oh my goodness me, he's overcooked it through the double rights of turn 7 and 7A. Oh dear, what has happened to Lawrence? It didn't look like he had any damage on the car. Well, he certainly didn't before the big lockup into turn 11 last time. Doesn't appear to be anything visually wrong with the car, so I'm at a bit of a loss as to what's going on with Lawrence.
Well, it could just be that the slight mistake that he had at turn 2 has just overcooked the tyres a little bit. As we see, Ronnie Gibbons is out of the race. He's disconnected, so that's a shame for him. Although we have had Patrick Young join, so he's joined late. He won't be a part of this race, but maybe just having a watch. Who knows? See what's going to his competition next year. So now we've got Benjamin Hackerson. He's all over the back of Dustin Hickman. This is what Gunnar wants in 6th, because these two start taking time with each other. There's always the chance that he can start to put pressure on these guys.
Yeah, so Dustin's has actually gone past Benjamin at some point, so now the top 4 are the tiger-coloured Ferraris, but you can see there is Gunnar in the background. Whoops, I accidentally jumped to Lucas there. And Benjamin having a look at the inside at turn 7. Certainly is doable as a big enough braking zone to do it, but didn't quite have the paces. And Dustin's had a great run through those turns. But if we look then at Gunnar, he's really broken away from Curtis Hardy and Knut Martinsen. So that mistake by Lawrence has really freed him up then. But it's still a fair amount of time. It's what have we got here? Oh no, but I keep looking at the practice time, says an hour. I was thinking, it's an hour-long race. No, it's not. It's a 20-minute race. Goodness me, Kika, get your head out of your backside. So, it has been a horrific commentary. I apologise wholeheartedly, ladies and gentlemen, for my pathetic organisation for this evening. It will get better, I assure you. But yeah, Gunner's really a man possessing. He's really starting to close in on Benjamin right ahead of him. So that is going to definitely be a battle very, very soon. What have we got left? About 3 laps or so? Give or take?
It will probably be closer to 4, maybe 5 laps. We're about 15 or so minutes into the race, maybe 15 and a half minutes into the race. So
of course, the elapsed time includes the pace car laps. So yeah, so if you've got 5 laps to go, Gunnar definitely has time to put a lot of pressure, certainly on Benjamin. Whether he'll nail Dustin remains to be seen. But yeah, that battle is definitely on. Lucas is completely on his own. Jürgen again losing the back of Patrick. Patrick has been pretty unchallenged for the vast majority of this race. Oops, don't cut that corner too much.
It always looks like they're going to cut it, and then you sort of think, don't do it too much, because there's a massive tyre barrier.
Yeah.
You don't want to be hitting that.
Yeah, that will bring you to a stop pretty damn quickly. So let's jump back to that battle then for 4th position. But Benjamin is still getting the pressure on Dustin, so whilst Dustin did have a good bit of a run from Benjamin, it has actually closed back down again with Gunnar in a fairly short succession as well. I think Gunnar may have made a bit of a mistake. He seems to have lost a little bit of time on these two. So yeah, great battle hit in 4th position. Oh, yeah, there's not really an overtaking point at this stage through 3 and 3A. But again, that seems to be where Gunnar picks up a bit of a time on these two. Now is now's the time when Dustin needs to play the defensive game from Benjamin. Again, Benjamin possibly having to think about 8 rounds turn 6, but thinks better of it on this occasion.
Yeah, you can see actually Dustin took a little bit of a different line there, just went a little bit wide. I think he braked slightly later. Is Benjamin going to try it here on the inside? It's probably a little bit too late. Just giving Dustin something to think about there coming into turn 7. Obviously, that line isn't the fastest way through there, and that will give Gunnar a little bit even closer, and you can see it. In fact, he is closer. Another lap or 2 and he'll probably be on these guys. He's been fast for the last couple of laps. Interestingly, obviously both Ben and Dustin have similar. Benjamin has a slide through that corner there. Both of them have very similar pace, so obviously you'd expect Benjamin to have made a mistake to allow Dustin through, because it didn't look like Dustin was he was pressuring, but it didn't look like he was going to make the pass, and so I think perhaps a mistake was made. So maybe that's, I mean, as we said, that's kind of what needs to happen for an overtake to happen around here.
So as they begin another lap, then they're climbing up through 1 and 2. Got it really now very large in the mirrors of Benjamin Hackison. And Benjamin in a sandwich that he would not want to be in. But again, just notice there that even though it is a fairly standard chicane arrangement, there's still different lines that the drivers tend to use. Benjamin opted for a bit of a tighter line through the second part of that chicane, whereas Dustin chose to stay tight to the first apex as opposed to the second. So there is still room for a bit of driver individuality, and it is allowing Benjamin to stay right on the rear wings. He's now having another look at the inside of 7, and just again not able to get the move done. Gunnar now right in this particular mixture, and it's going to take a mistake, I think, for these three to change order. The way that their pace has been so equally matched. I think one mistake could well reshuffle these three.
Absolutely, yeah. Speaking of mistakes, I've just noticed that Curtis Hardy is down in 10th position, so he has lost position. I think just seeing the look at the lap times, it was a couple of laps ago he made a mistake because he was dropped behind Knut, Evan and Jason.
Oh dear. And he was right up with the battle with Gunnar at one point. So he's also in a battle of 3 with Jason Dyer and Lawrence de Rijk. Lawrence obviously trying to recover from the mistakes.
Sorry, but Benjamin Hackson's just had a massive mistake, and he has lost the position to Gunnar. He's just recovering. Then that is Knut Martinson's just gone past him. So Benjamin now down in 8th place, as a 7th place rather, as a result of that mistake. Yeah, that does seem to be the case. Yeah, sorry to cut across.
No, not at all.
It seemed to be. Yeah, it just seemed to be a nice moment to catch it. I literally just switched back from the Curtis and Jason battle, and we had the spin from Benjamin. So I'm going to blame that one on myself.
Commentator skills from Mr. McPhilen. So Gunnar now is he's not losing any time on the back of Dustin, but I'm not sure he's going to have a great deal of time to be able to put a move on Dustin, unless, of course, the tiger-coloured Ferrari makes a mistake in these closing stages of this race. The race is now officially over. So our winner then, pretty convincingly, was a Patrick Heinrich, second Jürgen, and here comes Locus then to take that 3rd position. Over the line he comes. John is a lap down, and there is Dustin's just going to hold off Gunnar Nielsen. Nienhaus. Don't ask, no idea where that came from. So that is 4th position then to Dustin, 5th position to Gunnar, There's going to be 6th to Knut Martinson, 7th to Benjamin Hackerton, 8th is Evan. That's Evan Imre as he comes over the line. Jason Dyer just managing to fend off Curtis for that 9th position. Søren Kurz, apologies if I'm not getting that right, comes across the line in 12th. Lawrence finished in 13th position in the end. Adam Hedgecott didn't really see a great deal of view, so apologies there. He's just coming around the final turn in 13th place then, as he's got Stevie Chambers right behind him, and there's Christoph Weitz we saw pitting very early on. He wasn't really able to recover from that unless of course he made another mistake or had to pit again. So Christoph coming across the line in 15th. There's Patrick Punker being very closely followed by Dennis Anlauer for 16th and 17th position. I think that's all of our runners. Oh no, John Roberts was a lap down, so yes, I believe that is everyone now across the line.
Yeah, there's once again you should see those Sim RC boys really showing what they can do.
There was only 1.5 seconds between Patrick and Frank at the end there. Right, so just as before, we will have our second session underway as quickly as we can. So the stream will be paused whilst the second session is set up. So stay with us, and we will be back shortly. So we are back then with the second session. We are in the warm-up then. We are 7.5 minutes, or 7.75 minutes into this warm-up session. My co-commentator, Mr. Phil, will be back shortly. So we will then get the 45-minute longer race underway. We have had the sprint session that just vanished rapidly. And so this will be a reverse grid from the first race. So Patrick, of course, winning it first time around. Whoops. And that is someone that's gotten all out of shape. That's Jason Dyer. That's gotten slightly out of shape at turn 6. Or he was allowing Lucas to go through. There's Christoph Weitz with Lucas Dalzert directly behind him, and something's just gone pop on my screen. I don't know what it was.
That was me.
That was you. Hello, you.
And my ingenious way of trying to tell you that I have returned.
Haha.
It failed.
I heard the pop.
Well, you heard the pop, but you were like, what is that pop?
I didn't realise what the pop was for. Welcome back, Mr. Phil. Welcome back to you. So then, just under a minute to go before we get this underway. Now, last week's both races of last week was pretty intense. I'm pretty excited. How difficult is overtaking here from a driver's perspective, Mr. Phil?
Oh, I mean, it's a super short circuit. There aren't any real straights. We said it in the race before. It's all going to be down to either being just way faster than your competition ahead, or the guys ahead making mistakes. Now, it's not the hardest circuit to make a mistake here, so that'll be something to watch out for people perhaps not used to being towards the front, getting put under pressure by the really fast guys. I think that's going to be the catalyst to making some mistakes from these guys. That's typically how I see it go. It'll be interesting, this race in general, because obviously so far we've had two of these reverse grid races. Suzuka went a little bit awry when the grid had mixed ideas on how to start a rolling start, and then at Watkins it all went pretty smoothly. But it's obviously a track, but it's obviously a track which is easier to pass at.
That is true. So it's quite narrow. It's narrow here as well. So it's not just the fact that it's a very twisty track. It's very, very narrow, which these camera angles don't always give justice to. Just how difficult it is to overtake it. Is there much of a difference, realistically speaking, between the Ford and the Ferrari? Here.
I don't know, to be honest. I don't think we've got too many Fords. I think we've probably only got the two. Here today, is it Milo and Ronnie? Is that right?
Is Milo back in, actually? Yes, he is.
Be.
Yes. Milo is in. So heading the field this time is Dennis Anlauer, with Ronnie Gibbons directly behind, I believe.
That is correct.
Well, the pace car is opposite there. Ronnie has spawned in. We're just waiting for the field to join. But yeah, I think it is only the two Fords. I mean, it's a very Ferrari heavy field anyway, as we saw last week. Oh, hello, Gianni. Good to see you. Shame we're not in front of the camera this time. And I hope I got your name right last week. You haven't commented, actually. You commented saying we hope we did get it right, but I don't know if I actually did, so I hope so. So yeah, there's Milo, I think, that's just appeared. Oh no, it's Lewis Bibby. He's driving forward. I can't see Milo on the grid.
Oh, of course, this is his first event, so obviously he wasn't here before in the first 2 rounds. So
Milo's not actually on. Yeah, Milo's not on the grid.
So
Neither
Milo has decided to hit things out, or perhaps he was too late into the grid because he has only recently. He was the last person to connect, so I wonder if he's just missed out on the cut to get onto the field.
So that's.
We saw this. Yeah, there he is. He's in the pit. He's in the pit lane. So
oh no! So we've already lost Milo. Oh, that is he disconnected from the first race and didn't get back in time the second time. And oh dear, I think we've also lost Mr. Anlauer. I can't find him either.
That is correct, and I just seen Lewis Bibby return to the pit. So that's 2 of the 3 Fords.
Oh dear!
I think I just heard that Stevie had said something about Lewis Bibby. I wonder if he was telling him he has connection issues or something.
Oh dear! So yeah, we only have the 1 Ford then, and that is Ronnie Gibbons, who now leads the way behind the iRacing liveried Porsche. So then our grid goes as follows. So Ronnie then leads the way. John Roberts in second position with Patrick Punker in third. Soren Krutz in fourth position as they form the 2x2 line. Crikey, that's really early that they formed that lineup, but I'm assuming this is by arrangement that they've done so. Jason Dyer is next in line with Adam Hedgecock. How many times has he been called Hitchcock, I wonder?
Hopefully a lot.
So that's 6th position, I believe.
It will be now, yeah.
4, 5. So yeah, now we've lost Dennis. Yes, so that's 6th. 7th is Knut Martinson. 8th, Stevie Chambers. Oh, why is Knut there? Did he have a
I'm not 100%, but I feel like it should be.
That's not right, surely.
I think if we have a look at it, I believe Knut should be behind Stevie. Stevie should be, Stevie. It's interesting because Edmund is also behind, so there seems to be a little bit of a mix-up.
Yeah, that's not right because I'm sure. Yeah, Knut was much higher up the field than that. Stevie, we saw had problems early on. He locked up his inside left, I think it was. His inside tyre, and it just spun from him. So yeah, we saw him have trouble.
Obviously, it's based on the qualifying results, which is why.
No, that's true.
But obviously, I thought people were a lot closer than they were.
Well, we are underway then, so Ronnie has chosen this opportunity to get on with the job. Then John is already under pressure by Patrick Punker as they start to go up the hill. Oh dear, that's Ronnie locking up there into turn 2. No major incidents as yet, as far as I can see. Soren is still 3rd, Jason 4. Knut Martinson is in 5th position, although it actually says he's 9th. Oh! Did I just hear an impact there? I'm just going to jump to the back.
You did. Yeah, that was Dustin Hickman was involved, I think.
Milo's on the field, so Milo did actually manage to start, and Dennis Anlauer. So they've started from the back of the field. So they've
started from the pit lane, so they are quite far back.
Oops!
I just switched back to Milo, and there's Dennis Anlauer
flying off the road.
Yeah,
maybe it wasn't the best start for him.
Perhaps cold tyres from not getting the warm up there.
Oh, and John Roberts. Yeah, John Roberts, who started 2nd position, actually has just spun. He's right at the back of the field.
Really far back.
He is not having the best of luck at all. He had a terrible run last week, and he's not having much luck here. But Ronnie is really beginning to look at the gap that Ronnie Gibbons has already got for himself. So he's taking full advantage of the squabbling Ferraris and trying to get the hammer down in that Ford. Patrick 2, Jason 3, Surin 4th, Knut is 5th, Gunnar in 6th position, Christoph Veit 7, Lucas Dolzer 8. So almost 3 wide. Adam. Oops, another bit of it. Oh, goodness me, who's that flying off the road?
Yeah, it would be Curtis Hardy, I believe.
Oh, yes, it is, in that Italy-flavoured Ferrari. So, yes, it is Curtis. Yeah, I was looking at Dustin Hickman there, but yeah, Curtis is the only one running that livery as far as I'm aware. So
Stevie also running that livery.
Oh, is he? You know what I've done? I've forgotten to get that trading paints thing running again.
Oh, bin.
So, silly me. Oh, dear! That one. We did. I just forgot to start it. Something I was meant to do before the restart, but never mind. As we actually had 1st and 2nd, that was Ronnie and Patrick going wide then on the exit of turn 3. before 4 as Jason and Patrick side by side through turn 6, and they have got through that pretty successfully. So Patrick then down to 3rd position by his teammate. I think that they run. Oh no, not quite the same livery. And you see just behind, that's Knut Martinsson with a great ringside seat for the battle ahead of him. And look at that. That's it's not Christoph Weitz. Who's that on the outside? Is that Soren?
Ronnie Gibbons. Sorry.
Oh no!
Ronnie Gibbons has just had a spin.
He has. So he's. Oh no! What a shame. It's a great start, and now that is just got a whole lot worse. Ronnie's right at the back of the field. Oh, no, there's Milo and John Roberts, I believe, behind him. Oh dear, what a shame for Ronnie. So the Fords at the back of the field. So coming back up through the field then. Ooh, lots of locking up then. Curtis Hardy has got. As we just hear more wall impact there. That's Dustin Hickman that's just gone through on the inside of Curtis Hardy at that turn 11. So that is now up to 17th position for the Sim RC racer of Dustin. And Jürgen then up to, is that 14th position? I think the game is telling me. So Benjamin Hackerson. And then there's Lawrence de Rijk. Stevie Chambers in 11th at the moment. Big old stream of cars then, as we saw last week, as you would expect with the reverse grid arrangement. I thought there was someone flying off the road there, but of course that's just the way the camera angle shows the road on the other side of the tyre wall. Of course they're going uphill as this lot are going down. Oh my goodness me, look at this. Several cars going for overtake. That Knut Martinsson and Gunnar Nienhaus side by side. Gunnar not quite getting the move done. Although I think it was actually Knut that was gaining that 3rd position. Oh no, sorry, he was defending that 3rd position from Gunnar. Beg your pardon.
Yeah, Gunnar really putting the pressure on. Knut was putting pressure on Jason just earlier in the lap, and then got a bit close and had to back out, and that allowed Gunnar to really get start putting pressure on Knut. So there's contact there. That's gone around. That's going to be hopefully drives to the inside. Yeah, that's a good job from going to get off the track there. That's a really unfortunate tap from Christoph Weitz, I think it was.
It was, yeah. Lucas Dolzer as the chasing of those two tiger-coloured Ferraris there. It was Christoph Weitz, the unlucky one there. That was the unlucky one. It's Gunnar that. Oh no!
Speaking of unlucky, that is unfortunate from the lead cars.
Oh, who is it? Is that Patrick?
It's a bit messy. It's Patrick. He's just lost the
Patrick
car.
Punker.
And he's unfortunately had contact with both Knut and also Jason slightly.
Oh, Ronnie Gibbons is in the pits. And Dustin Kimpman's just coming out of the pits as well. So is that the end of Ronnie's race, I wonder? So then, as a car has just spawned ahead of Christoph Weitz there. That was Jason Dyer. Oh, that happens if there's lag, isn't there? The car vanishes. Is that right? Have I understood that correctly?
Yeah, they just occasionally they blink in and out of existence. But yeah, no, Jason is now leading the race. In fact, yeah, obviously after that incident, Lucas Dolzer is he's right there. And you expect it's probably only a matter of time before he at least gets a chance to overtake. Whether he pulls it off, we don't know, but he'll be close to Jason probably at the end of this lap, maybe even into the hairpin.
We just saw
too far back.
Yeah, we just saw Lucas actually do a great, essentially outside then inside switchback on Christoph Weitz for that 2nd position. He's trying to get alongside to challenge for the lead, but not quite able to. Look at that. 2nd, 3rd and 4th, those tiger-coloured Ferraris again. And right in that mixture is Soren Kreutz. So, yeah, that's Soren Kreutz in the white and green Ferrari at the back of that chain then. So, yeah, your new leader then. New leader? Try that again. New leader is Jason Dyer. Oh, goodness me, that's Christoph Weitz going very, very wide. He's lost that 3rd position to... Oh, is he going to lose another one? To Soren Kreutz. He was having a look on the inside there for that what is now 4th position. But Christoph Weitz just managed to fend that off. That's Patrick Heinrich that's now up to 3rd place then, winning in a pretty conclusive style. Lucas then having a look on the outside of Jason Dyer, still trying to keep that one going around turn 7. And that's 2. That's 2 cars he's taken at exactly the same point and exactly the same style. New race leader is Lucas Dolzer in the Sim RC Ferrari.
Yeah, that's a great move. He set Jason up to go defensive and then just had a enormously late braking move around the outside. Now Patrick will want to get this done as quickly as he can to get past Jason so that he can start pushing the pressure. And there he goes, he's up the inside a little bit. Is he going to get that to stick? He's going to have a poor run out of this corner. Jason's going to be on the outside for the firing corner, but he will have, again, he'll be the outside for turn 1, but then he will be on the inside. No, he's actually just going to back out there. And he's going to concede that position. Doesn't want to fight too hard around that corner. It's very difficult to make a move into turn 2 if you don't quite have your car already ahead going into it. But yeah, no, Patrick's done a good job to get that done as early as he has. Now he can really start chasing after Lucas. He didn't want to have to spend as much time as he wants, but he doesn't want to have to spend much time behind Jason.
English is failing you as well then.
it fails everyone.
That is true. So Jason then is now trying to fend off Christoph Weitz, holding on to that third position as best he can. Just behind them we have got a 4, it looks like 2 packs of 4 actually. Lawrence de Rijk leads this particular chain with Benjamin Hackison, Knut Martinsen, who's under pressure by Jürgen Frank. Then, as we just saw, Benjamin, I think it was. Oh no, beg your pardon. It was Jason Dyer who was again putting pressure on Christoph Weitz for that second place. Lawrence, Benjamin, Knut, and Jürgen Frank in that particular pack. Then, just slightly further back is Soren Krutz. He's fallen through the field a little bit. He finds himself in, I think he must have made a mistake, because he was 5th at the beginning of the lap. I think he's now,
I think he'll be 9th now.
Yeah, I was going to say he's pretty much further down than that, with Evan Imre, Gunnar Nierenhaus, and Christoph Hardy. I'm just going to throw random names in because my brain is just failing me at every given opportunity now. So it's Curtis Hardy, and also Stevie Chambers is in this mixture as well. So a big old gaggle here. The remaining 4, Milo Langford, I said that last week, I didn't learn. Linford is also in there, 14th position. So he's... Oh no, is that Curtis that's off? It is! Curtis has gone off at turn 2.
Oh, that's a shame for Curtis. He looked like he was in a relatively decent position there. He was in a good gaggle of cars. He's now going to drop all the way away from those guys.
That's Adam Hedgecock then that's just relieved Curtis. Oh, again, Curtis going a bit wide on the exit of the third turn chicane. So that's Milo then that's gained a couple of positions in the remaining Ford. Stevie must have made a mistake as well because he's fallen off the back of this long gaggle here we've got. So Gunnar still putting pressure on him. I said Gunnar has made a mistake because he was challenging much higher up. So Gunnar is... of course, Gunnar was spun out, wasn't he? We saw that at 10-11 not too long ago. So Evan then's having to defend from Gunnar. Let's go on board with Gunnar Nierenhaus. So he's coming through the chicanes from 8 through to 10. Just going through 10 now. Whoops. We just jump on the nose. Oh, there's a big lock up there we just saw. Oh, and Evans run a bit wide. That's opened the door for Gunnar, and he has jumped straight through that. And that is another position. Oh, no, Evan managed to get a decent drive out of that last turn and defended the position. Very nicely done. So that's the issue with going tight in that corner, is you cannot get the throttle down even slightly like you'd want, and you can just, if you don't get that move done into the braking zone and sorted, it's easy for the other guy to at least put the pressure on and come back. Haven't done a really good job to hold it. So Lucas Dolzer then continues to lead from Patrick Heinrich. So that battle is brewing and is going to... that battle is going to be pretty monumental when that gets underway. Christoph Weitz in third. 3-car chain here. Jason Dyer 4, Benjamin Hackison 5, and Jürgen Frank in 6th place. With Lawrence Reich under pressure by Knut Martinsen. This pack has fragmented a bit, and we've got an overtake manoeuvre going on. That is Benjamin Hackison trying to get on the inside of Jason Dyer. Not quite able to get the drive out of that turn 7. So he has to remain in that 4th position. Oh, that is Jürgen Frank then side by side. Oh, and that was a fairly easy overtake as it was, although not in a common overtaking position. Jürgen Frank has gained that 5th place from Jason, not from Jason Dyer, beg your pardon, from Benjamin Hackison. So what's turned into an overtaking opportunity for Benjamin has ended up, he's had to concede a position. That is how quickly it can change, and it's Evan in the pits. Evan Imre has come in from 10th place.
I think the window must just be about open here. I don't think the fuel consumption is too high here, so I think the pit window is quite large.
It's a very long pit lane here as well. Or
Yeah,
well,
it's quite slow.
Yeah, it looks it from here, but I mean, is it comparatively long in driver terms?
Well, from what I understand is on iRacing, they typically try to make it so that the pit lanes are around about equal for almost every track. They try to.
Okay.
Some tracks they can't quite manage it.
Well, that's fair enough. At least to try and equalise it. But yeah, there's just some track layouts that lend themselves to a longer or shorter pit lane just by pure design. So that looked like a bit of a flash of lights there by Jürgen Frank. That's going fairly pointless when it's broad daylight, surely. Oh, as he's clunked into that, he hit that apex really hard. It's going to lose him a lot of time. He's straight under pressure by Benjamin Hackinson, and that's thrown him completely off the tail of Jason Dyer, although he does look like he's closing that back down again pretty quickly. But one small mistake can be so costly here. Bear in mind, he's carrying that mistake all the way down, although he has actually closed back in on Jason Dyer now, but you could potentially have carried that all the way through turns 8, 8A, 9 and 10. Why is it 8A on this map? Why are they just not up in numerical order? I don't know.
They're a silly bunch, the Americans, when it comes to tracks.
Or numbering their corners. Yeah,
numbering their corners, the same difference.
Yeah, true. Think outside the oval is the tagline of this particular track. Jürgen then now back on the case of Jason Dyer, coming back up the hill then through turns 3 and 3A, heading into 4. So close. But, Jason doesn't have to make any particular moves to defend that hard at this point. If you probably did try and make a big defensive move, you'd be off into the dust, I suspect. Round 6. And this Gagger is really closing up then, so Jason under a lot of pressure. Again, another move by Jürgen. Is he going to get it done into 7? Oh, yes, he does this time. That's too wide by Jason. That is 4th position. Now has changed hands.
Yeah, it looked like Jason didn't quite move across early enough to get the defensive move. Jürgen had just got enough of his car alongside to not allow Jason to pull to the inside to defend that inside line. So yeah, Jürgen able to move ahead, and now he's going to start trying as much as he can to close down, obviously, his teammate ahead, Christoph Weiss. Jason and Benjamin Hagson both pit at the same time there.
Yeah. Oh, bit of a clunk of the wall there.
I had a bit of a clunk, yes.
Yeah. I mean, someone else in the pits as well. Who's that that's coming? It is Curtis Hardy. Hasn't he been through the pits already? Oh no, he spun off earlier on, didn't he? So, nope, he's in the pits now then. So that now, we head back up the field. Lucas and Patrick really now in a very close battle for that lead at the moment. What is the lead gap? It is 7 seconds between the leader and this man, Christoph Weitz. And there's a big gap of another 5 seconds down to Jürgen Frank then, who's really broken away from those that were chasing him before. And it's Lawrence Reich and Knut Madsen. Knut was understeering a little bit into turn 6. It's very easy to do. So it's downhill and off camber. Is a surprisingly difficult corner, that one. Well, a number of the corners here are very, very tricky. Oh, no sooner do I say that the Knut looks like he went really wide into turn 7, but again, he could have just chosen to have gone deep at the first part of 7 to get a better drive out of 7A.
It's certainly possible. It did look like he locked up a little bit, so I think it probably was more towards a mistake there. Yeah, but like you say, the battle for the lead, Patrick really pressuring Lucas. You sort of expect the winner of the previous race to be doing so. Even though they were very evenly matched throughout the race, as I say, they only finished 1.5 seconds apart. So this will be a really interesting battle. Can Patrick get the move done? And Lucas, can he force him into an error?
There's also going to be pit stops when they choose to pit. Obviously, if the leader pits ahead of the chaser, then the chaser could use the opportunity to try and get there's loads of stones. It looks like I'm on board with Patrick at the moment. It looks like there's loads of stones being thrown up, despite the fact that Lucas didn't go off track at all. So he has a stone dropper under his car, obviously, and he's trying to use it to his advantage. Dirty tactic.
There's a dirty tactic. It could just be that there's a dirty track, though. That's one thing that is interesting about this is you bring stones onto the track. They do actually exist on the track still. So you'll be bouncing those up if you go off the track and you bring on the sand that does exist on the track. So you could just be kicking up someone's excess sand that they brought on earlier.
Absolutely. So
Or he has a sand dropper.
well, or he has that. So are either of these two going to pit this time? Let's have a look. So just coming up to the pit entrance now. And it is... Oh, I honestly thought for a second that Lucas was going to slam into the wall, but nope, neither of the front two are pitting. Their battle continues. Christoph Weitz now up to third position. He is not in either. He is trying what he can to gain on his CMRC brethren, as is Jürgen Frank, who's closing in quicker on, I think, Christoph than Christoph is on Patrick. So we're going to have a first and second battle and a third and fourth battle before long. Soren is in.
It's always fun. Soren is in, yes.
Or has he been in for a while?
He might have been
actually.
He's 2 laps down.
Yeah, so I think that is the end of... That could be the end of Soren's race, and Patrick is also a lap down, so I'm not sure if Patrick is still running. Let's see if I can find him. Oh yeah, Patrick is still running. I think Soren... Yeah, Soren, I think, is out of this race, as is Ronnie. Let's jump back up to our leader.
Yeah. Actually, I think an interesting battle to look at is that obviously we saw Evan pitting early. We saw Jason pitting recently as well. They are right together on track right now. So that's an interesting one. And it's an indication of where Evan will be, potentially, when everyone's all pit stops start to roll out.
And there they are then. So this is a battle for 12th position, Jason and Evan. They are just coming up through turns 3 and 3A at the moment. And now as they start to come downhill then towards that turn 4. Oh, that's very deep for Jason. Evan had a better run through that. Could think about an inside manoeuvre at 6, but it's so risky to do. You're better off just holding on around this long turn 6 and then trying to outbrake your opponent into 7. As Jason's already thinking about a defensive move, he's gone back to the racing line. And there we see Curtis Hardy, I believe it is in the background. Whoops, that was the wrong button. Is that Curtis behind? Yes, it is. So Curtis, after his pit stop then, he finds himself in 14th position, making his way through the field. Who else can be fine? Benjamin Hackerson completely on his own, as is Dustin Hickman. Oh, side-by-side battle here. That's Stevie Chambers and Milo Linford for 8th position. Currently Ford ahead of Ferrari, and that, just ahead, is Dennis Hanlauer, who is sadly a lap down in 16th position. Oh, that's very close between... Is it Milo or Milo? I'm saying Milo.
I'll go with Milo.
Yeah, let's go with Milo. Wrong way through the field. Gunnar Nienhuis is on the tail of Knut Martinsen, which I think is where he's been for quite a while, and they are also staying at the back of Lawrence de Rijk. That takes us up to 5th position. There is Jürgen Frank, who has caught up with Christoph Weitz. So we do indeed have a battle for 3rd and a battle for the lead in 2 separate areas of the track, and that is... Who's that? That's John Roberts just ahead of them. And that... Oh, that could have got messy!
That was a late decision there. Was that a late decision from Adam to not go into the pits there? It seemed like it might be, or perhaps he was just letting through someone. I'm not really sure what happened there, but that could have been a bit spicy had something happened there. But yeah, no, Jürgen has really caught Christoph Weitz. Christoph Weitz is running in the 27s, whereas Jürgen in the last couple of laps he's been running the low 26s and even into the 25s. So
Crikey.
Jürgen obviously has the pace advantage on Christoph Weitz here. I wonder if we saw Christoph actually he had contact with Gunnar, didn't he, earlier? So I wonder if his car's slightly damaged.
Could be. And again, that's leader's pace. I mean, again, last lap for Patrick was a 1:26.1. So as Patrick again having a look at the inside at turn 7, but again he's considered against it. Could they zero stop this?
They are not allowed. They do have to pit.
It is a compulsory one. I see. But could they sort of string it out a very long time, or would the tyres just not hold?
The tyres are absolutely fine. I very much unlikely that you will find anyone pitting for tyres here. So you can string it out for as long as you can. That's usually the tactic, is run as far as the fuel tank can take you, and then have a shorter stop where you have to fill less fuel into the car. That's usually how it works in most of these things. Obviously some people pit early to get out of traffic or do some different strategy calls. Typically it's getting out of traffic to put in quicker laps. But yeah, no, it'll be interesting to see how these guys do it, because will someone like perhaps Patrick or perhaps Jürgen following their teammates right now. Will they pit perhaps a lap earlier to try and get a clean lap in and undercut them?
There's certainly no team orders going on, because they are fighting each other tooth and nail, which is suiting us to the ground, as this is giving us quite a lot to talk about. Again, Patrick is still finding himself behind Lucas at the moment, and Christoph is still fending off. Oops, sounds like someone's clunked into the wall again. As Jürgen still finds himself behind Christoph at the moment. They are approaching turn 6. What is the gap? So it's 13 seconds between the two pairs then. So Lucas and Patrick obviously separated by less than half a second. And it's 13 seconds down the road before they find these two. So it's quite a gap between the two pairs of teammates at this stage. But how long do the pit stops tend? What's the average pit stop cost here?
I'm not 100% sure, to be honest, although I was just clicking through the field to try and find Evan and accidentally clicked on Curtis Hardy and he jumped off the track and crashed. So
oh no!
That one's on me again. Looking at the times, it seems to be about 30 or so seconds.
Does everyone have identical pit stop times, or is that a bit random?
Everyone, well, like I said earlier, if you pit at the end of your pit stop, you'll probably fill. If you pit early, you'll have to. I don't know, because everyone all sort of hit pits with the same amount of fuel. So yeah, typically everyone's pit stops will be exactly the same. It's dependent on the driver coming in and not making a mistake coming into the stop, attacking it as much as they can without not losing time on the entry, stopping at the right place, stopping as early as they can, and yeah. So it all sort of comes to the driver. Typically, you expect a variation of no more than a second or two if everyone's doing it properly, because no one's going to fill different amounts of fuel. They should all be filling probably the same amount of fuel. So
because you have to do that, you have to stop in the right box, don't you? It's not like Project Cars or F1 2016 where the game takes you to your pit box. You have to do that yourself.
It's all you, yeah. It's all the driver. You have to set the pit limiter up and drive the car properly, and then find your man and hit your marks, and then get away as early as you can without spinning the car on the under the throttle from stationary. Which, to be fair, in this car is almost impossible to do that. It's tricky to get off the line, but you're only going to bog down coming out of it. So that's the other thing, is actually, because you're stationary. So if you're someone that can get the car off the line well, then that could be an advantage to someone that struggles to get it off the line. That could save you perhaps a second or two.
Oh, Christoph Weit's gone a little bit wide at turn 11. Actually, doing a rear chase from his car does highlight some front right damage on the. Actually, looks more like a snake. Actually, I've been calling him a tiger skin, as he's actually getting. I think he was getting flashed there by Jürgen, unless it was just the way that his headlights are appearing through that rear wing. But yeah, Christoph is definitely carrying damage. So this being quite a twisty circuit, that downforce disruption could really be hurting him. Will that chew up his tyres a bit? It should chew up the tyres a bit more if he's losing downforce. He should be relying more on mechanical grip, which will chew the tyres up quicker. Would you notice that sort of thing?
I think, again, because these tyres aren't so they don't lose too much grip. The stint times typically run around the same. You can be very consistent over the entire stint. Obviously, losing the fuel over the time saves a bit of that weight. So as the stint goes on, you expect actually it probably hurts him less and less having the downforce. But compared to the fact that he's fighting a car, it's obviously not a good situation to have the damage. But no, you probably get slightly more understeer, which usually scrubs the tyres. So the front tyres could lose a little bit more grip than usual, but won't be. It's not going
to be a catastrophic amount. The tyres are not just going to fall off the cliff in F1 terms.
No. Oh, sorry, just a little bit of the contact there between Jürgen and Christoph. Actually, as Christoph was a little bit slow coming out of the hairpin. There was just a tiny little tap between them both, but nothing too sinister or problematic between them, and it's all just going to continue.
It does indeed. So Patrick's still trying his best to get past the leader of Lucas. Then it's going to come down to pit stop timing, I would think. Do you think that Patrick is going to automatically do the opposite of Lucas, or is it going to be, if they both come in at the same time, so be it?
That's a tricky one. If I was Patrick, I would be doing the opposite of Lucas. I think Patrick probably believes in himself to have more pace than Lucas. I mean, we know that they are very evenly matched. So I think it could well be up to Patrick to do the opposite of Lucas. But that will be interesting to see. We're what, 2/3 of the race, almost 2/3 of the way through the race. So I expect them to be in with the next probably 3 or 4 laps, perhaps. So we'll see in that. They could come in earlier than that if they want to do an early stop, but I think at this point it's all up in the air. They could well come in together and want to continue the fight on track. Maybe they've got a little contract agreement between them to make it on track rather than having a pit stop, just so that it's more fun for us.
Absolutely. Then, so just to go over the drivers we lost Lewis Bibby right at the beginning. We lost Ronnie Gibbons, sadly, very early on. We've lost Soren Kurtz. We've lost Patrick Bunker, Curtis Hardy, Benjamin Hackerson, Dennis Andler, I think, is actually still running. He is, but Benjamin Hackerson, unfortunately, is not. He is in the pits. So it is all down to 15th position, 15th, 14th, 13th, or of course a lap down. So yes, we've lost 5 from this race so far. And we've got some great battles. If I can actually get through the field. Well, Soren Kurtz is still running, I beg your pardon. So Soren Kurtz is 8 laps down, so he had a massive problem and stayed out of the way for a very long time, but Soren is actually still running. There is Adam Hitchcock, who currently chases Dustin Hickman, although Dustin's actually in 6th position, so there's a lap difference to Knut. Having a pretty good race in, he's running in 5th position. There is that 3rd, 4th battle we saw between Jürgen Frank and Christoph Weitz. There is the lead battle between Patrick Heinrich and Lucas Dolzer, and we are back around the field again.
Very good.
Thank you. So, Lucas had a pretty good run out of that final turn, or certainly a better run out of that final turn than Patrick. So he's got to a tiny bit of time there. As 7/10 has now separated the top 2. But there's 18 seconds between this battle and this battle. If I can get to them. There it is. Christoph Weitz. Oh, Jürgen is all over the back of Christoph at that point. That wasn't the camera I was aiming for. That was the camera I was aiming for. Oh, my goodness me, Jürgen. I wondered if he was going to try and have an inside manoeuvre at turn 2, but again decided better of it. Again, there is some way to go, but all the time he's stuck behind Christoph. He is losing time on time on time. And you as a driver know when you're having to adjust your line, adjust the speed you can do these corners at because you're stuck behind someone. He will know if he's got the pace in him to be able to make a challenge. Again, Christoph going a little bit wide on the entrance to turn 6, but keeps that one under control. Is Jürgen going to have another crack at him in turn 7? Let's see as they come towards. Again, flash of the lights. Oh, we've just lost Curtis Hardy. We have lost Curtis Hardy from the session. And no, Jürgen Frank remains behind Christoph Weitz at the moment. Is the flashing of lights just out of frustration, or is there some kind of communication going on there generally?
It's probably more of a, let me through, please, I'm here. I'm faster.
Get out! So, Patrick again doesn't. Has he closed up a bit of that gap? He closed to 10th on Lucas at that point. So, that's a little bit deep. Aha!
Go ahead.
Just saying, Patrick had a pretty bad run actually through 2, just coming up to 3. So that would have cost him a bit of time. But Jürgen has pitted. So, where is he? There he is. That's Knut. Yeah. I think it's just gone past him. Yes, it is.
I'm perhaps a little bit surprised that Jürgen didn't attempt this earlier, to be honest, because maybe he doesn't want to drop into any sort of traffic. But I think he probably had enough of a gap to anyone following that I don't think he has anything to worry about. Perhaps Gunnar, but I think even that he's far enough ahead, so he's probably going to rejoin back out into 6th position, and he's going to be all on his own here. So he has a lot of clean air now. Can he get? Now he needs a good lap, because if Christoph is in this lap, that could be that could throw a little bit of a spanner into the works for what Jürgen Frank is attempting.
Indeed. I mean, is it easy to find out as a driver if your opponents have pitted?
It's sort of more just down to knowing where people are on track and not. You can't really know other than knowing that person was with you at one point and now they're certainly further behind. So it's knowledge and instinct more than something physically telling you. Yes, that's correct.
And again, the lead 2 are still going on, but Lucas has definitely maintained Nearly a second now that separates the top two. So Lucas beginning to get a bit of a gap there, a bit of breathing space, which I'm sure he will be quite pleased about. So he's less having to defend and more can concentrate on his lines. But the top two choosing not to pit then. Christoph still hasn't pitted.
Yeah, that's going to be potentially good news for Jürgen if he thinks that he has the pace to pass Christoph, and he knows what Christoph's pace is, so he can now put the hammer in. He hasn't got anything anywhere really ahead of him. He's got a lap car a few seconds ahead, but not close enough to really be worrying him. So he's going to, if he can get some good laps in here, you'll probably expect him to jump up into third.
Knut Martinsen is coming to the pits as well, and from 5th position, Dustin is now completely on his own. And yeah, I'm again keeping an eye on the lead too. I'm just, when one of you two pit? Just answer the question. When are you guys going to pit? I mean, could they sort of leave this strung out until like the penultimate lap and then throw it in, or is no one really likely to? No sooner do I say that they both come in at the same time.
You just knew they were going to come in as soon as you started questioning.
Yeah, absolutely.
Huh, this is interesting. I was expecting perhaps a difference in strategy, but yeah, that's going to be interesting. Now, well, Christoph fights pit as well, because if he pits, I think that's telling that it's possibly the final lap, and yeah, he's coming in. So I think this is the latest that they could possibly leave it. Probably, possibly. I'm not sure. We'll see. Will Dustin Hickman come in? That's another question.
Someone's just materialised. Well, Patrick's driven through them. Oh, look at that! Nearly side by side.
Side by side. No, they are side by side. This is. I mean, Jürgen will get on the throttle. He's going to have a tighter line to the run, so he's going to have shorter. You got to be careful, Patrick. You don't want to get an unsafe release from going too far to the right there. But yeah, no, it looks good. But Dustin actually hasn't pitted, so that's interesting.
Oh, he's right with him then.
He's probably a little bit further back than right with them, but he's not slow. So, I mean, if these guys start squabbling on this lap, then he'll be right there. But obviously, he will be pitting at some point. Yeah,
absolutely. It looks like there's been a bit of contact between Adam Hedgecott and Jürgen Frank as well. Looking at the chat at the bottom left, bottom right rather. So that could be.
Oh yeah, yeah. Jürgen Frank has returned to the pits.
That must be.
Jürgen Frank is out.
He's out. So yeah, I mean, someone materialised right ahead of Patrick, although he was able to drive through them. So he was one of the same RC guys, and Jürgen is one of the Tiger Colour Ferraris, isn't he? Or is it?
Yes, there he is. I just flipping through the replay to see what happened, and yep, there he goes. And that's a huge crash. I think Adam Hedgecott might have flown to the moon there.
Oh, well done.
Yeah, he actually did. He actually went to the moon. That's impressive.
So I take it Adam and Jürgen are both out, I think.
Well, yeah, I would be very surprised if Adam was not out. That car has gone silly high. That's quite amusing. I enjoy that.
And when I learn how to use the replay function properly, I will.
You can show it after the race if you have time. That's a good one. I think people might want to see that.
Cool. But we'll have to bear in mind that was must have been around 37 odd minutes elapsed. So. Well, looking at the elapsed time at the top, so we'll have to bear that in mind for if we can try and get that particular incident. So Lucas still leads Patrick. Dustin Hickman now up into 3rd position. Christoph Weitz struggles on in 4th place. John Roberts is a lap down. Gunnar Nienhaus is now 5th. Knut Martinsen, after his pit stop, is in 6th position, so he finds himself behind Gunnar Nienhaus at this point. Lawrence de Rijk in 7th, so we could see a 3-way battle forming for that 5th position pretty soon. That's Dennis Anlauer, a lap down in 13th. Jason Dyer in 8th position. That is Soren Krutz in 18th. Milo is still running in the solo Ford, excuse me, in 9th place. 10th, Evan Imre. 11th, Stevie Chambers. That's the pace car. Adam is out. Jürgen is out. And here are our leaders. There's not a lot of distance now separating the top 3. It is just as they come over the line. We'll see what the timing is. 4 points. So 4 seconds separate the podium 3, and unsurprisingly, it is the Tiger Colour Ferraris. So has Dustin been in at all?
But this is the thing, I was just checking. Yeah, he actually came in on lap 3. I don't know if that's too early to have been able to get enough fuel on board for the rest of the race. So that's an interesting one. So right now, he could actually be in the 3rd position on merit, although my instincts, which are usually wrong, are telling me that he possibly will have to come in for a splash and dash, unless he has been driving around with the intention of fuel saving, although based on his lap times, I suspect that could probably not be the case.
I mean, how long will the tank typically last for? Sort of full to near empty.
Ooh, good question.
Yeah, assuming fair enough. So full racing speed. Not assuming any kind of problems or lifting and coasting or anything like that. If you were absolutely flat out qualifying laps, what could you realistically?
You have me on the edge here. It's I mean, based on the fact that these guys come in this race here, it was probably I would say maybe like a 35-minute tank. I would say that's.
It seemed to be when these guys came in, wasn't it? It was when the leaders came in, was around that kind of mark.
Probably about 23, 24 laps, maybe 23 laps, I think, possibly the limit. As you know, Patrick's really close to Jürgen. Sorry, not Jürgen, to Lucas there. So
yeah, he was. Yeah, I think Lucas had a bad run up the hill through 2 and 3. So that's going to help Dustin get in on this particular action as well. I mean, so yeah, that would indicate that would indicate that Dustin doesn't really have enough fuel to gun it to the end. That would be pushing it possibly a little bit too far. But we'll see.
Yeah, I suggest he probably is just going to have to pit again, unless he has been really, really doing a fantastic job of holding off. Using too much fuel. I mean, at the moment he is going quicker than these guys a little bit, so it could well be. I mean, that's partly possibly due to the fact that he might have, or should have anyway, less fuel on board than these guys, perhaps too little fuel. And also it's indicative that perhaps he isn't trying to fuel save, is in fact pushing as hard as he can. So, and yeah, there we go, that is Dustin into the pits from the 3rd position. I expected he probably had to, and yeah, in fact he has. So that'll push Christoph onto the podium with Gunnar in 4th, and Knut should. Well, is he close enough to take the 5th position? He might struggle.
It's going to be close.
It could be close with Gunnar as well, actually.
Gunnar's really broken away from Knut at the moment. So there is Dustin driving through his ghosted teammate's car. So he shouldn't be, next to no time stationary at all. Let's see where he reappears. So he's still in that 3rd position spot at the moment. 4th is...
That must be his teammate there. Yeah, there goes Christoph. So this is actually going to be close with... Is
Gunnar.
He close with Gunnar? No, he's actually...
No, he's out. So
he's done it. So now... And we saw that he had good pace. So, I mean, he's not far behind his teammate, Christoph, who we saw Jürgen battling with earlier. We know that... I mean, based on these lap times, that Dustin has the pace advantage. So... Could that be another fight? We're going to resume the battle for 1st and 2nd. And we're going to resume the battle for 3rd and 4th. It's just going to be competing with different drivers.
Ever so slightly for that 3rd, 4th place, absolutely. So the Tiger Colour Ferrari is once again showing how it is done. And still Patrick chases that tail fin of Lucas Dolzer. They come round to complete... I haven't been keeping track of... Oh, lap 28. So that is so close to those tyre walls. That will definitely put an end to the charge of the clunk into those. So that is another lap done then. And we will be seeing the checker flag come out probably, 3 laps or so time?
About that, yes.
Yeah, it's not
about that area.
Yeah, it's not going to be much more than that, I would have thought. So Lucas really under a lot of pressure from Patrick. Come on, where's Christoph? There he is, who's under a lot of pressure by a freshly pitted Dustin then. So a quick splash and dash for him. And that's what it looks like from the... So Dustin's still coming up in 3rd. Oh no, he is in 4th. There we go. Just took a while to update that particular panel. So he's right on the tail of Christoph. And we'll see how this battle concludes.
Yeah, another one that's form actually. Oh, bless you.
Oh, I couldn't mute my mic quick enough. Oh, excuse me.
You scared me.
Sorry.
So anyway, going on the battle that's perhaps and he's definitely evolving, is Lawrence de Rijk on the back of Knut Martin to the 6th position.
And it is. So there it is. That's the view from the TV camera for Knut. So he's really having to defend. Gunnar really has. He's already at the bottom of the hill as Knut just starts that turn 6. So it's quite a gap between 5th and 6th position then of about 4 seconds. So Knut really having to defend very, very hard then from Lawrence at the moment, and that is John Roberts behind. So there's no danger from 8th position Jason Dyer, as 12 seconds or so back to him. So yeah, a good battle here. We've got several battles to try and focus on in the closing stages of the race.
Well, that's fun. That's fun for us.
Absolutely, absolutely. So again, Lucas continues to lead his teammate. I'm sure Patrick could probably count the amount of flies on the tail fin of that car by now. He's been stuck behind it and that close for so long. Where is Christoph? There he is. So he still fends off Dustin Hickman then for that final podium position. 5th place, as we know, is in the hands of Gunnar. And there is Knut then, under a lot of pressure for that 6th place. Again, there's an example of what I was saying earlier, a slight line difference where Knut chose to take a wider entrance into that first turn, whereas we saw Lawrence stick much closer to the apex to take a smooth line, whereas Knut going for a quicker exit to try and get up the hill that a little bit quicker. But it seems to be down to driver style, driver preference. Setup differences. Are there going to be massive setup differences here, do you think?
Well, I know a lot of people run very similar setups. I've found from the same website. But the SimRC guys probably run their own as well. Yes, I mean, I don't think it's the most setup susceptible car. I mean, obviously a good setup will help, but it's I think other cars are typically affected by a faster setup more. But yeah, you will find different variations setups, as Patrick has a little slide through turn 1 there and has just lost a little bit of time off the back of Lucas there, which is not good for his charge, but we know he's got the pace. He can probably close that down.
Yeah, there's not going to be long left of this lap then. If I was correct on 3 laps, then we are on the penultimate one. Unfortunately, from a spectator's standpoint, we have absolutely no way of knowing. Last week we were told, as Stevie had problems with the steering wheel, so he was acting as a spotter for us. He's in the race somewhere. Where is he? Stevie is running in 11th position. He's actually the last of the ones on the lead lap, so there he is, very much on his own. Just coming through the 8, 9, 10 corner complex at the moment. Again, Lucas fending off that ever-present, ever-persistent Patrick for the race win. At the moment, they're coming through that same section. 8, 9 and 10. Well, we've got no way of knowing how many laps are left, unfortunately. Of course, the unofficial race time is 45 minutes. We have, of course, exceeded it because that includes the time that the elapsed time starts from when everyone is forming on the grid and everyone's connecting. That, of course, takes some time to sort of... Aha!
This is indeed the last lap. So we're about to cross the line.
And that is it. So that's our race winner decided. It is Lucas Dolzer, just from Patrick Heinrich. Brilliant effort by those two. So our 3rd place is going to go to, unless he makes a mistake.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It looked like Dustin was a lot closer than into the corner, but he just had to pull out from the move. He got a bit close through the corner, so he had to pull out and lost the momentum there. So he's not going to get decisions. That will be Christoph Weiss rounding out the podium.
Yeah, brilliant. Again, with a damaged car, it was a great effort, great defensive driving from him. So Dustin takes that 4th position. 5th, great effort. Big braking for some reason for Gunnar as he crosses the line. 6th, Knut does actually hang on to 6th position. Where the hell did 7th go? Oh, there he is, Lawrence. He lost a lot of time on the back of Knut there for some reason. Here comes 8th position, Jason Dyer. The head of that 3-car train there. That's actually Dennis Anlauer. Oops, I've lost Milo. There he is in 9th position in the Ford. 10th goes to Evan Imre. 11th, Stevie Chambers. And Stevie Chambers, is, I believe, was the last one on the lead lap. So I think that is actually everybody across the line.
That is, yeah. Well, that was the race.
Oh, well, crikey, that was very intense, particularly for those amazing battles we had with the CMRC guys. Once again, providing very, very close racing. So that is it for Sonoma. That is rounds 5 and 6 of this championship. That just leaves me to thank you, Mr. McPhilen, for joining me in the commentary box once again.
Yeah, I mean, we could always have a look at that Adam Hedgecock moment if you would like to see
Oh,
that. If you
yes.
have time. I can tell you through how to get there.
Yes, please.
Okay, so you find Adam Hedgecock.
Find Adam Hedgecock.
You click on the laps.
Laps, yeah.
And then double click where it says lap 22. There shouldn't be a time there.
Indeed there isn't. Aha!
Okay, so now it should skip you to lap 22. Okay, so now it's during lap 6. During turn 6. So
okay, so we're just watching him go through 2 at the moment. So this is Adam, well, very much on his own at this point. But we know he has a problem. He has an impact with Jürgen, as he's just coming through 4. So Jürgen must have made a mistake then, because as I say, on this replay he's completely on his own.
Well, you'll see.
So Adam now coming through turn 6. Oh, sideways. No. So
Still
this
sideways. Here we go.
Spin and wallop.
Space.
Wow.
Yeah.
That would have needed a painkiller or two particularly when he landed. That would be. I mean, that was an impressive impact.
Yeah, you can see why I'd be surprised if he was able to continue after that.
Yes, that was impressive. That was very impressive. But yeah, so that is it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for being with us throughout. If you're catching up with this on YouTube, thank you very much for watching, and we will see you right here next time for more AOR action. Thank you very much. Thank you once again, my wonderful co-commentator keeping me on the straight and narrow, Mr. McPhilen.
Thank you very much, Chris. It's been a pleasure, and see you all next time, and see you as well, Chris.
Indeed. See you then. Thank you very much, and good night.